Good morning. It's 9 o'clock on this Thursday, November 6th. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller. We're broadcasting from the 13 News Now studios, serving Southeast Virginia and Northeast North Carolina. You might have found us here on 13 News Now. Plus, maybe you found us on YouTube. No matter how you found the Weather Desk, we're glad you're here. And we do this each and every weekday morning. What do? Well, we tackle today's top weather headlines, and we've got a really good show lined up for you today. Here are some of the topics we're going to go through. We're going to hear from victims from around Black River down in Jamaica. These are victims hardest hit by Hurricane Melissa. You'll get their reaction as they're kind of surveying what's going on down there. I'm going to have tropical outlooks for the Atlantic and the Pacific, and I'll tell you what, folks in the Philippines, they just dealt with one typhoon, and they are bracing for another one just days after getting hit with the last. So we're going to talk about this very sad story from the Philippines and a rising death toll from the previous round of rough weather with the last typhoon. We're also going to take a look at how things are going to shape up for Vietnam, another area that was hit hard with rain. We're looking at snow out for some western ski resorts. Finally, we're getting some video, and it's kind of fun to see that snow finding its way across parts of the western U.S., but not only snow in the high elevations, there's a lot of rain out there. The atmospheric river is making rain in pretty good quantities out west. We're going to talk about what an atmospheric river is, how it operates, and we'll have a special on that. And we're going to talk about some of the changes coming up over the coming week. And I'm talking big temperature swings for the eastern U.S. I also have an update on the drought monitor. Some good news for parts of the country. We'll show you how we're doing with the latest drought monitor that just dropped about half an hour ago. So it's brand new information that's just come out. We're going to start off, though, by taking you back to Jamaica. We'll zoom in here. And remember, it was the southwest part of Jamaica that was hardest hit. Think about some of those communities. There was Bull Savannah and Black River specifically that was hit so hard. And the folks there around Black River and down in the Caribbean, they're still reeling from Hurricane Melissa. The system first made landfall in Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane. It was the strongest hurricane by pressure on record in the Atlantic at landfall. An incredibly powerful storm made landfall a week ago last Tuesday, eventually going on to hit Cuba and the Bahamas. CNN's David Culver spoke with Black River residents who are now on the long road to recovery.
Catching some water because that's the only way we can get water. We all damaged here in Jamaica, real bad.
Across much of western Jamaica, the storm has passed, but you feel it everywhere. Survival mode has kicked in.
In here in Belmont, we are very distressed and we really need some help because you have persons who are very homeless and we don't really have any food supplies.
This is where you live here?
Now they're coming to terms with what's left, and for many here, it's not much.
This was your bed?
Yeah. I'm in my bed. Look at your bed mashed up.
It's all mashed up, you're right. You're right.
There's one here. This is one of our neighbor house also. Her house destroyed also. Everybody house in this community is very destroyed. We don't see nobody. And that I keep on wondering. We have suffered here and nobody comes to assist. You know how we even get some things like these? It's persons who are going around in vehicle and giving out a little portion of tokens.
As one resident pointed out, even if a house is still standing because of concrete, most likely the windows were shattered and water got in, sand got in, furniture, clothes, all their belongings destroyed. I mean, it just continues. It's endless. I mean, you look up there and it just goes all the way up.
It's incredible to see those images, and we'll continue to monitor not only those areas around Black River, but all of Jamaica as we get more information. We continue to share it, so keep checking back with the weather desk for more on that. I do want to take a look at what's happening across the tropics right now. Unfortunately, in the Caribbean, we're in pretty good shape. There are some clusters of showers and storms here and there, but nothing that is well organized. Across the Gulf, the western and central portions of the Gulf looking good. We do have some areas of unsettled weather back across the central and eastern parts of the Gulf. But again, nothing that is really ramping up. As we look over to the eastern Pacific, it is still quiet here. There's no tropical development expected here over the coming week, not from the Hurricane Center. We had a front come through early this morning. It's been producing some gusty winds here in the mid-Atlantic, but that front, again, clear of the area now, pushing farther to the south, and there are no tropical concerns along the East Coast or across the main development region. So overall, things are looking good. No tropical activity expected over the coming week, according to the National Hurricane Center. And looking out beyond that, things still looking pretty good, although we will continue to monitor some areas in the western Caribbean. Again, the GFS was kind of hinting at maybe an area of low pressure developing, but it didn't really ramp it up very much. So we're still optimistic things should be good here now as we're going forward. Of course, things can change, so continue to check back for more updates. All right, so that's what's happening in the Atlantic Basin. I also mentioned the eastern Pacific looks pretty good, but we need to talk about what's been going on over in the Philippines. And you see here, they're kind of catching their breath, but there are ongoing concerns. Okay, we're going to talk about two systems here, but I wanted to show you, first of all, the president of the Philippines has declared a state of emergency. This is days after Typhoon Kalmaji slammed the central part of the country. Now, this is a look at the aftermath. Torrential rain, submerged cars, even forcing some people onto the roofs of their homes. Right now, at least 241 people are dead or missing. And the threat to the Philippines isn't over yet. There's a new typhoon. We're going to show you that in just a moment. That's set to move across the northern part of the country a little bit later. We will have this. It's become, with the 7 a.m. update this morning, Typhoon Feng Wang. And again, I'll show you where that is here. You can see it out here to the east. But let me show you where Kalmaji is now, because it's moving towards Vietnam. And this has been a huge concern. You might be wondering, okay, what's going on? Well, Kalmaji here, this one that produced all that devastation back in the Philippines, is moving through Vietnam, and it continues to work to the west. So it's going to bring some more heavy rain into that area. This comes at a really bad time for Vietnam. Remember, the central part of the country is still drying out after receiving record rainfall last week. Remember, some areas got a lot of rain. It was 42 inches in 24 hours, some record rainfall for parts of Vietnam. Now, while Kalmaji is continuing to weaken as it moves over land, it's still going to bring more rain to areas that were already saturated. The ground's making additional flooding likely. All right, take a look at where these things are now, and I want to bring you back to the map. So we'll take a look at Kalmaji again. Right now, landfall, as we're speaking, west movement, 18 miles per hour. It's going to rain out as it moves across parts of northern Cambodia and southern Laos, and then pulls into Thailand. Again, it will eventually weaken. Now, what about the next system for the Philippines? I have information on that too. We'll take a look. This is what is being known as severe tropical storm Feng Wang. And right now, the winds are at 60 miles an hour, gusting up to 80, but those sustained winds are forecast to strengthen by tomorrow morning, 80-mile-per-hour winds, making it a typhoon. And then the movement west at 10 continues to strengthen with winds up around 115, potentially a strong, either a Category 2 or maybe even a Category 3 typhoon, a super typhoon moving across the northern Philippines. It would weaken a little bit as it moves across land, and then it's expected to take a turn maybe back off to the north. So we'll continue to watch all of this. Again, this area has been really, really hit hard this hurricane season or typhoon season for them. We're talking, I believe, 20 different systems have hit the Philippines this year, and this next one coming right on the heels of the one that just hit them a few days ago. So incredibly tough time out there. We will, of course, keep you updated. We're going to take a short break, okay? 2 minutes. When we come back, we're not seeing this much snow up in some of the resorts, but we'll show you who is seeing some snow. And we're going to talk about the atmospheric river, one that's set up now, what it's doing, how atmospheric rivers work. That's coming up after the break. Welcome back to the Weather Desk. All right, it's not heavy snow like this, but parts of the western U.S. are already seeing snow. Check it out. This is a look at a light dusting at the Boreal Mountain Ski Resort in Soda Springs. That's about 30 minutes away from Lake Tahoe. That ski resort says it's been preparing for the winter season since the summer. It officially opens to skiers and snowboarders on November 21st. You know, they've got the snow guns out there. They make a lot of the snow, and they are delighted to get anything that Mother Nature brings to them. Take a look at the radar here. I want to show you, again, the snow that was showing up on the radar. And this is, you know, one of those things where you get up into the higher elevations, you start to see the snow early season. So that's really exciting for those folks. All right, about 3 hours southwest of Soda Springs, parts of the Bay Area are dealing with rain and flooding. Suzanne Fenn has a look at the conditions in and around San Francisco.
The rain, the wind,
very windy,
and the rising water made for some wild weather in parts of the Bay Area.
It was quite a storm for a little while.
In Mill Valley along Miller Avenue on Camino Alto, streets were closed off.
it's often commonly flooding over there.
It's the tide, the king tides. You know, the big moon means big tides.
At Tamalpais High School, we encountered a couple students scrambling to pull their cars out because of the rising tide water.
It's just been going up and up.
Boston Nahigian went barefoot because there was so much water.
It was probably about a foot, maybe a foot and a half. Yeah, I had to pull up my jeans and it got up to about halfway on my shin, right about to there.
Nahigian got his car out in the nick of time.
My friends were saying it got about as close to the exhaust as it could get without going in.
Heavy rain and slick road conditions often mean fender benders. In Novato, police say this SUV driver hydroplaned off the freeway down a ravine. Earlier this Wednesday morning, a wet waterfront in San Francisco. Powerful waves slamming into the sidewalk here along the Embarcadero. In downtown San Francisco, umbrellas were getting a lot of love as people headed on their way to and from the office. The rain tapered off, giving way to gusty conditions. Strong winds swept away the leaves. For some folks and their four-legged friends, it was a chance to enjoy a brisk walk. Back to Mill Valley in the Tam Junction area, much of the tidewater receded late this afternoon. What started as atmospheric river conditions has tapered off, but many Bay Area residents take it all in stride.
I don't think you can fool with Mother Nature, so I don't think we have a choice on anything.
Yeah, I concur. We don't really. We take what Mother Nature gives us, and they've been seeing a lot of rain up there in the Northwest. Now, you may have been hearing that term atmospheric river. There is a feed of moisture that has been streaming into the Northwest. Well, that's what's to blame for the wind, the rain, the flooding there in Northern California, what they're experiencing right now. Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis joins us to explain the phenomenon.
Atmospheric rivers, a familiar weather pattern that is much more common on the West Coast than here in the East. But what exactly is it, and why is this such a unique occurrence that brings about such significant impacts? An atmospheric river can be identified on satellite imagery using the water vapor filter. This depicts high levels of moisture in the low and mid levels of the atmosphere. So what exactly is it? Like an actual river, on land, an atmospheric river is a large, narrow, and continuous band of moisture, in most cases originating from tropical latitudes where moisture is more readily available. On average, this giant band of water vapor can be quite narrow, only 200 to 400 miles wide. This conveyor belt of moisture then pushes inland, encountering enhanced terrain or mountains, forcing that moisture to rise and condense, producing prolific rainfall amounts and, if cold enough, snowfall rates. Depending on how long they persist, these atmospheric rivers can be responsible for highly impactful weather events, including floods, mudslides, and blizzards. For 13 News Now, I'm Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis.
All right, Tim, appreciate that report. So you've seen the moisture streaming in across Northern California. As we take a look, we have to be concerned with potential excessive rainfall. And that is the case here, again, like yesterday, west of Seattle, from around the Forks area just south. So this westernmost part of Washington state, they are going to be watching for some potentially heavy rain. We also have that potential for excessive rainfall along the Northern California coast, including Eureka. But we can give you a little closer look, and you'll see from Garberville up through Rio Dell, again, Moonstone, Eureka there, obviously, Crescent City over to Happy Camp, Cave Junction into Oregon, Gold Beach, and all the way up to Port Orford. So these are the areas with the potential for excessive rainfall. Now, as we take a look across the country, most of the country is actually in pretty good shape. We can take a look at the severe storm outlook, and you're going, well, Craig, you're not showing us anything today. No, there really isn't anything to be concerned with as far as severe weather goes. Maybe a little excessive rainfall again for the Northwest, but most of the country's in good shape today. That changes tomorrow because we do have not only a marginal level 1 risk for these areas shaded in green, but we have a slight risk level 2 shaded in yellow, and that is what I want to focus on here from southern Kentucky through central Tennessee. This is at level 2 threat, so some scattered severe storms will be possible. And as we take a look at the tornado potential, you can see there's this area, and it's not a greatly elevated risk area, but it is an elevated risk area from portions of Kentucky, which include Lexington and Frankfort, Kentucky. These areas here, you can see it extends all the way over towards Grayson, Kentucky, Moorhead, Mount Sterling. You head south down into Tennessee, and you pick up Nashville, that area, all the way out through Clark Range and Jamestown. You go south, Franklin, Murfreesboro, get into portions of Alabama and Mississippi, and you can see we do have that elevated risk as well. Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, down to the south, all the way down through Mobile, Alabama, and then again back towards Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We have that potential for elevated potential for tornadoes. You'll notice it extends down to Pensacola. Pensacola is right on the cusp with our Navy base down there and the ties to Hampton Roads. I know a lot of you may have some friends, or maybe you've got a loved one stationed down in Pensacola. They're kind of on the edge there along with Mobile. So that's a look at the tornadic outlook. This is for tomorrow again. gusty winds, that would be a concern with any of these storms. And there is kind of the second tier or a level 2 threat of larger hail from south central Kentucky back across Tennessee. That is something that we will definitely want to pay close attention to for Friday as the storms develop. As far as things go right now, it is quiet in these areas. So that severe weather outlook was for tomorrow. We're in great shape here along the mid-Atlantic. We're seeing a lot of sunshine. It is cooler. It's been breezy today. Again, a little unsettled for parts of the Northwest. Now, we're going to talk about the updated drought outlook. This is the brand new U.S. Drought Monitor. And I got to tell you, while there are still areas in severe to even extreme drought, this map is not showing as much red, and especially that deep burgundy indicating exceptional drought. There's still some areas, northern Idaho, could really use some more rain. They are still experiencing exceptional drought. But there have been times over the past months where we had parts of the Southwest and California in some of these more extreme to exceptional drought areas. So that's gotten a little bit better. Utah's gotten a little bit better. Parts of Colorado have seen improvements along with Texas. Still very dry down over the southwest part of Texas. As we turn our attention to the east, it's still extreme drought back across parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. As we look down along the Georgia-Florida line there, you can see there is some extreme drought there. But I do want to focus on Hampton Roads because, again, so many of you tuning in from our local area. Last week, we had drier, or what we call abnormal dry, down across southern parts of Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, and Suffolk, out through Franklin. That has shifted a little farther to the south. If you recall, we had severe drought for areas down around the Albemarle Sound, Edenton over to Elizabeth City. We had severe drought. We had moderate drought for much of northeast North Carolina. So here, right across the Hampton Roads viewing area, and this is the 13 News Now television broadcast area, we have seen improvements. We had some of that heavy rain a couple days ago, and Elizabeth City, I think, picked up like 1.5 inches, 1.4 inches of rain. So there were some significant amounts of rain in the last week or so, and that has improved our drought situation. Still very dry out around Farmville, Lynchburg, back into the mountains. You're still going to find some severe drought, but we are doing better here across Hampton Roads, and that is good news. As we take a live look outside with the Thompson Creek Window Company Skyview, this is the first time I've checked in on this Skyview where we didn't see more sunshine. We do have some of these cirrus clouds, kind of almost like a cirrus stratus deck drifting by there. You're looking at this mix of clouds and sunshine. It's breezy. The trees still blowing around a little bit. Notice some of the fall foliage really coming in now. Beautiful colors. Winds are from the north at 14 miles per hour. We're at 56 degrees. It is not going to warm up much at all. Upper 50s to about 60. That's it for the afternoon. I will tell you, temperatures early this morning may have been up in the low to mid 60s for some areas. So when we look back on the almanac for today, it may show it was a little bit warmer, but afternoon temperatures upper 50s to near 60, and really that's it. As I mentioned, more of the color coming in, still low to moderate across the immediate areas near the coast, but as you come farther inland, we're getting moderate to even some high color out west, more color up on the eastern shore, the middle peninsula. Gorgeous time up around Gloucester and Matthews now. Think about Williamsburg heading up that way. Beautiful up through Richmond and Petersburg. Full color, high color up across the Piedmont now. It's finally here. Here we are, kind of rounding out the first week of November. And finally, that color really coming in across Hampton Roads. Love to see that. All right, the weekend preview. Maybe you want to get out this weekend and try to see some of the leaves across the area. It is a little breezy, and now that the color's coming in, we get these breezy conditions, starts to strip some of the leaves, but there's still plenty out there. It's going to be a good day to do it on Saturday. Skies are going to be partly cloudy to mostly sunny. I do think we'll see a few more clouds from time to time, and there is a low risk of a shower on Saturday. Temperatures low 70s. Our normal high is 65, so these temperatures are above normal. You can see 73 on Sunday with better chances for some scattered wet weather later in the day on Sunday. Now, if you remember at the top of the show, we talked about the topics, and one of them were temperature swings coming up along the East Coast. Okay, today we're cool. Tomorrow we warm it back up. So upper 50s to near 60 today. We get into the upper 60s tomorrow. So about 10 degrees warmer than what we get today. Then warmer through the weekend. Look at what happens early next week. We get a blast, a surge of cold air Monday into Tuesday. We're talking a lot of frost out there potentially Monday night into Tuesday, even Tuesday night into early Wednesday, and maybe some freeze warnings going up. It will be sharply colder as we get into the early part of next week. Right now, we're looking at dry conditions. We did have a front come through the area, put the winds on. You can see how that front drives southward, and you're seeing some of the cloud cover right there. Here's our frontal position as it is working down to our south. Here are those clouds I just showed you from that sky view up in Hampton. You can see a little bit of that drifting through. They're not going to be here all day. They're going to thin out. We're going to see more sunshine coming up. Just a really nice day, cool and breezy through the morning. Those winds will ease up this afternoon, but get ready again. Those temperatures cooler than yesterday. Yesterday we were in the 70s. Today upper 50s to near 60 through the afternoon. All right, we're going to get into the future cast and talk about the winds and the wind direction. Today, the winds from the north keeping those temperatures down quite a bit, upper 50s to near 60. Watch what happens overnight, though. We're going to see those winds shifting around and eventually for tomorrow coming back around to the south. We've got high pressure that is going to pass by, and that's going to, after a chilly start tomorrow, drive temperatures up through the afternoon on Friday, back into the upper 60s, maybe a few fair weather clouds from time to time. And the model's been hinting at maybe a couple stray sprinkles Friday night, late in the evening. You see some of that stuff going by. I'm not overly concerned, but there might be a passing shower down across North Carolina. Through the day on Saturday, we're going to see the southwest winds driving those temperatures back up into the low 70s. So get ready for the warmer weekend. Again, a few clouds out there. Look at some of the contrails. You can see condensation trails from some of the planes that fly by overhead. That's a look at the Elizabeth River from the Jordan Bridge. And there's downtown Norfolk off in the distance. You see some of the ship terminals and marine terminals here in Portsmouth really looking good across the area right now. We're sitting 56, again, variable winds, and the pressure is rising. Now, as we look at the forecast, we do have small craft advisory still up this morning for the bay and the ocean. It's been windy. We saw gusts earlier this morning, very early this morning, around 35 to even 40 miles per hour up around Chincoteague and up around Wallops and back over towards Tangier Island. That's where we saw those highest gusts early this morning. Out on the ocean, we're still looking at some winds gusting close to 30 knots. The winds will be easing later on. Highs today, as I mentioned, upper 50s to near 60 for Norfolk and Chesapeake, 61 in Suffolk. Good-looking day today, plenty of sunshine. I know we've got a few clouds drifting through this morning, but we'll see improvements through the afternoon. Close to 60, Hampton, Williamsburg, 59 at Gloucester and Newport News. Eastern Shore, mid to upper 50s, breezy there. And at the Outer Banks, plenty of sunshine, 60 at Kill Level Hills. We'll see 64 around Edenton and 61 in Elizabeth City. As far as the forecast goes tonight, it's going to be clear, chilly, especially inland. Some areas out towards I-95, back in the lower to mid 30s. Most areas will be in the upper 30s to low 40s around the metro area. And then tomorrow, with the winds shifting back to the south and southwest, we're going to see those temperatures climbing once again, 68 the high there tomorrow, and into your weekend, as I showed you, low 70s, so looking good. Low risk of a stray shower on Saturday, even late Friday evening, but really Saturday, there might be a passing sprinkle. Showers are more likely on Sunday. As we get into Monday, breezy and much cooler. We go from 73 back to 50, and we're going to stay close to 50 on Tuesday for Veterans Day. Now, I do want to mention that morning low temperature on Tuesday, 34 degrees. Keep in mind that's at Norfolk International Airport, which is typically pretty heavily influenced by the relatively warm water of the Chesapeake Bay. So while we have 34 at the airport, inland areas will be down into the 20s. It will be chilly again. Some freeze warnings and frost advisories, I'm sure, going up early Tuesday if nothing changes. And then chilly again early Wednesday, but afternoon temperatures Wednesday back up around 60. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of the Weather Desk. I want to remind you, you can always get the latest news, traffic, and weather on the go when you scan this QR code and take along the 13 News Now mobile app. Great resource. We love how many people turn to that for weather news and traffic information. nation. And I love how many people are tuning in to the Weather Desk. This audience grows and grows. We're getting viewers not only from our Mid-Atlantic region, but from all around the country and truly around the world. So let your friends know about us here. We do this every weekday morning at 9 o'clock. We'll see you next time from the Weather Desk.